All right, welcome back. And hey, I can wear a New Jersey Devils reverse retro for the review because they won wearing it. And tonight's games, this was a slow start to the night. So through the first period of the first 5 games, we had 2 goals. And I thought, boy, I may not see a lot of goals tonight. And then it opened up depending on which game you were watching. So if you were watching Columbus and Detroit, my first question would be, why? And then I would answer with, I watched most of it too. So, I did my best to watch as much as I could tonight. Detroit and Columbus was, yeah, it was a game. It happened. There was a puck. There were players. There was stuff happened. We'll get into it. We're going to start off though with New York Islanders and Washington. So the Washington Capitals have shown that they have an edge on the New York Islanders in this little 3-game miniseries. And the Capitals have shown why I have faith in them. They've done nothing to make me think I am wrong to have faith in them. And so the power rankings board I'm looking at right now, they have not moved down since the last power rankings. Sprong scores from Orlov on the first shot at 129. And I feel bad for Sorokin because it's the only one he allows all night. But, it's on the first shot. These things happen. The shots were 5-0 in favor of Washington at 4 minutes. And, I don't know, the Islanders just, any of this that I watched tonight, the Islanders just seem to be a step behind for most of it. So, the Islanders did drive the play for a bit. They have pressure at the 9-minute mark. And then the other way, Dowd deflects one wide. We get an extended 5-on-3 late for the Caps. It is unsuccessful. Mayfield's stick breaks. Now, he did break it on somebody, so they could have called a penalty there. They didn't, because A, you can't have a 5-on-2, and B, they basically, if your team is down 5-on-3, you can do almost anything, and they won't call that next penalty. This has been a reality in hockey for ages. So while fans rightfully and announcers rightfully were saying that should have been a penalty because, yeah, he broke his stick on somebody, the Islanders did clear coming out of that. And while Mayfield was without a stick, meaning it's like a 5-on-2.5, they didn't pay for it there. So we go to the second. In the second, Chara had a fight with Martin. Kuznetsov then got shaken up. He skates off. Caps press with 8 minutes left. Sherry had a chance. It was blocked. Really, really strong period for the Capitals. Sorokin was the only reason this game was still within reach at that stage. There's a late power play for the Islanders, but we go to the third, and the Caps finish off the kill in the third period. Shots were 4-1 for the Capitals at 5 minutes. I would love to have some kind of rosy storyline for the Islanders right now, but there really isn't one right now. The Islanders just not getting shots. It was only 1-0, so they get a power play shortly after that. That was a no. Wilson and Pajot then got offsetting penalties. What was funny with that was that Chara could basically just manhandle Pajot. He just grabs the stick and just kind of pulls it out of his hands. And you look at the height difference between the two, and it's like, yeah, if Chara wanted, he could just end him or throw him into like the 10th row of the crowd. So I was actually a little bit surprised Wilson and Pajot got offsetting because Chara's right there and he's kind of messing around too. I thought, yeah, they could have thrown him in the box for misconduct, whatever. The Islanders then end up with a 4-on-3, which becomes a 5-on-4. Wilson blocked a shot for Pulock. They pull the goalie in the final 2 minutes, but the Islanders really couldn't set up the 6-on-5. The Capitals were keeping them out. They struggled with anything to do with offense all night. And now the Islanders are done with the Capitals, but I wonder if this is going to bleed over into the next games. They have the Rangers coming up. The Rangers, the Rangers have a slim chance, and I say a slim chance because they are 4 points back, and the other team, being Boston, has 2 games in hand. But the Islanders right now look vulnerable, so we'll see how it works. The Islanders drop to 29-15-5. The Capitals go to 32-13-4. This battle for first place in the division, Capitals end up getting 6 points out of it. And the Islanders end up with 1. 3 stars, Vanacek, Sorokin, and Sprong, because a 1-0 game is the easiest 3 stars you can name. Shots 10-7 Washington in the first, 13-5 Washington in the second, 10-6 Washington in the third. Final shots 33-18 for the Caps. Power plays, Islanders 0 for 3, Capitals 0 for 2. Hits 36-32 in favor of the Capitals. Block shot 16-12 for the New York Islanders. Sorokin saves 32 out of 33, and Vanacek saves all 18 shots he faced for his second career shutout. Not an overly difficult night for Vanacek, but it was for the New York Islanders. All right, moving on. Flyers. So the Flyers are they're done. I mean, realistically, they're not making the playoffs, and I understand that mathematically it's still possible, right? And mathematically, you have a chance to date Scarlett Johansson at some point in your life. Sure, mathematically that number is infinitesimally small, but it's there. So, reverse retro Devils. The Flyers get a power play. 4 minutes. There's some guys out there going, I do have a mathematical chance. So, yeah, 4 minutes. Post for Claude Giroux. The Devils would kill that off. The shots were 3-1 for the Flyers at the halfway mark. The Devils just started in neutral. They don't stay in neutral, though. Elliott stopped a chance for Hughes. There's a late Devils power play, and they score on it. Yes, the Devils power play, which had been anemic for weeks, tonight looks great. Hischier scores from Hughes and Zacha at 18 minutes and 45 seconds. We then go to the second period. McLeod and Sanheim get into a fight. They gave the extra 2 minutes to Sanheim. The Devils have the power play, and they score on it again. It's Zacha from Hughes and Smith at 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And then Miles Wood scores at 5:14. It is suddenly 3-0 in favor of the Devils. But it's the Devils. So you're looking at a team that's lost 10 in a row coming into tonight. They're up 3-0. Well, they're going to lose. I mean, that's kind of just, and I'm sure there are Devils fans watching this game that thought the same thing. And then Lindblom, he scores from Cates and Patrick at 5:29. Pretty sure that's Cates' first point in the National Hockey League. Then there's a crossbar for Hischier. Weird thing is they called it a goal on the ice. It wasn't a goal, it hit the crossbar. Elliott then denies Kuokkanen, but we leave the second period with the score 3-1 in favor of the Devils. Third period, usually where things go bad for New Jersey. And it does. Myers scores at 2:24. That ends a 44-game drought in terms of goals for Philippe Myers. And then Giroux scores from Voracek at 3:34. So there goes the lead. It's a tie game. Now what's going to happen? Connor Carrick is what's going to happen, of all people. He scores from Smith at 8:04. So Ty Smith with a couple of helpers. And then the Flyers tried to answer after that, and eventually they do, because it's New Jersey. Couturier scores at 12:25. But 11 seconds later, New Jersey answers and gets the lead back. It's Sharon Govich from Kuokkanen at 12:36. And that made it 5-4. We then end up with a situation where Tennyson had to make basically what was a goal line save. The puck was going in, but Tennyson saves it. The Flyers with the empty net. They called the timeout with 1:56 left. Huge saves by Blackwood in that last minute. And then the empty net goal is scored. It's Maltsev from McLeod and Carrick at 19:58. Connor Carrick with a goal and an assist. And they win 6-4. They go to 15, 27, and 7 and injure the odds of Philadelphia making the playoffs further. They drop to 22, 20, and 7. 3 stars, Zacha, Hughes, and Smith are your 3 stars. Shots 9-3 in favor of New Jersey in the first. 15-9 Philadelphia in the second. 12-9 Philadelphia in the third. Final shots 30-27 for Philadelphia. Philadelphia is 0-2 on the power play tonight. New Jersey was 2-2. Huge storyline. Hits 21-15 New Jersey. Blocks 18-8 New Jersey, and it just felt like they were bound and determined to get this. And I'm not going to say that it was for these beautiful green jerseys, but I'm not going to say it wasn't for the beautiful green jerseys. Hits were and blocks and everything's in their favor except for the shots, which is close. Elliott 21 saves on 26 shots. We can have the conversation about Philadelphia goaltending when the season's over. Blackwood 26 saves on 30 shots. Pretty good night overall for New Jersey. Who saw that coming? All right. Next up, Buffalo. So for Buffalo, things have started to go south again. It's been a gradual turn, but it looks like things are starting to go south again. That's fine. The effort's still there. And really, in all honesty, they were facing a New York Rangers team that still believes they're in this, that they can challenge for a playoff spot, and so they're doing everything in their power to do so. The shots were 6-1 for the Sabres, however, 5.5 minutes into this game, as the Sabres were the team that was very sharp early on. Shesterkin making some needed stops. Good puck control by the Sabres, too. Every time I turned that game on, they had it in the Rangers zone, or if the Rangers had it, they were clearing it out. And they were getting the first passes, no problem, second passes as well. Rangers not getting anything set up in that first period. Lafreniere then had a crease pass to no one in the last minute. Lafreniere, just saying, if we had a full 82-game schedule the way Lafreniere is playing now, he would definitely get into the running for the Calder Trophy. He's been fantastic over the last few weeks. Second period, early net drive by Skinner. Olofsson then had a chance that was stopped. Luukkonen gets the save 2 minutes in, but it's Smith, of all people. He ties his career high with his 5th goal at 2:22. That makes it 1-0 for the Rangers. Rangers pressed with about 6 minutes left in the period. They had a very good period. Much better. Luukkonen denies Lafreniere. There's a power play for the Sabres, and that Sabres power play would score. It is Reinhardt from Middlestad at 19:56. So 4 seconds left in the second period. Buffalo ties it in a period where the Rangers got 20 shots. So Luukkonen, very busy tonight. Third period, power play for the Rangers. Solid penalty kill. Luukkonen making the needed saves. Sabres then get a power play. That was a no. Caggiula was absolutely robbed by Shesterkin. And then it's Lafreniere from Strome at 9:49. So there's your lead back for the Rangers. The Rangers then get a power play. It becomes a 5-on-3. Zibanejad had a near miss. There were a couple of posts in there as well. Not from Zibanejad, but there were a couple of posts for the Rangers. And then after the 5-on-3 is over and it's 5-on-4, Zibanejad scores from Kreider and Strome at 13 minutes and 49 seconds. That made it 3-1. And you had the feeling the Sabres probably weren't coming back from that. They would pull the goaltender with 2 minutes left, but the Rangers hold on. They win at 3-1. They're now 26-18-6. The Sabres 13-30-7. Like I said, it started to go south again for Buffalo, but it's not a big deal. They're out of the playoffs anyways. The effort's still there. Shesterkin, Smith, and Lafreniere are your 3 stars in this one. Shots 16-6 Buffalo in the first, 20-12 Rangers in the second, 15-9 Rangers in the third. Final shots 41-37 for the Rangers. Power plays, Buffalo 1 for 2, Rangers 1 for 3. Hits 25-13 for the Rangers. Block shots 16-7 for the Rangers. Luukkonen 38 saves on 41 shots. Shesterkin 36 saves on 37 shots. Both goalies played well. Shesterkin just played that much better. But Luukkonen definitely looks like a keeper right now, which is good because with Ullmark out the rest of the year and Ullmark's a UFA when it's all done, Luukkonen may very well be the guy to go to next year. As goaltenders just seem to keep getting younger right now. A lot of young goalies making their impact. Next up, wow, Boston. And their older goalie was in the net tonight, Tuukka Rask, reminding people he's still a pretty good goaltender. First period, Jari got away with a mishandle. It comes weird off the boards, and he kind of bobbles it, and it doesn't end up going in. Shots were 5-4 for the Pens at 9 minutes. And this game felt exactly like the last one at this point. And I was thinking, okay, so 1-0 in overtime for Pittsburgh. Bring it on. Jari stopped a shot from Pasternak. Penguins get a power play. That was no. Rask stopped a good chance for Russ there. There was a Pens 2-on-1 that was broken up. The Penguins would press shortly thereafter. Clifton got hurt on a shot block. Rask then stops a Pettersson shot. And Aston Reese was denied before the period's out. It's scoreless. Like I said, most of the first 5 games that were played tonight were scoreless after the first. We go to the second. Pens press at a minute and a half. They end up with a power play. Shots were 4-3 in their favor with 9 minutes left. Again, they seem to be getting, a lot of the good opportunities, and it felt like they were keeping the Bruins out pretty well. It felt a lot like the last game. Penguins with 0 penalties. Boston had 3 at this stage. That doesn't really even up either. So Boston would end up getting a power play, though, shortly after I write that on the board. They don't score, but late in the period, they do. Krejci scores from McAvoy and Rask at 18 minutes and 10 seconds. So I'm pretty sure for Tuukka Rask, that's points in back-to-back games for him. It's unusual for a goaltender, I would think. So you go to the third. Early chance for Crosby. Bergeron had a chance, was stopped at 5 minutes. Things get kind of scrummy at the other end at 5:19. Bluger and Lauzon then had a fight. Didn't see that one coming. And then Marchand scores from Pasternak and Lazar at 9 minutes and 11 seconds. After that, Taylor Hall then scored a beautiful goal from Krejci and Riley at 12:18. It's 3-0 Boston, and the only question left. Can Tuukka get... No, he didn't. Carter scored from Letang and Kapanen at 17 minutes and 39 seconds to make it 3-1 and spoil the shutout, which meant they pulled the goaltender in the last 2 minutes. And Boston killed it off. They win this one 3-1. They go to 28-14-6. Pittsburgh drops to 32-15-3. So with this result and the Capitals result, the Capitals are now back in first in the division. 3 stars, Krejci, Rask, and Marchand. Shots, 14-11 Boston in the first, 8-6 Boston in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third. Boston outshoots them 31-26 overall. Power plays, Boston 0 for 1, Pittsburgh 0 for 3. Hits, 50 to 25 for Boston. 50 shots. They had 31 shots and 50 hits. That's fantastic for Boston. Blocks, 21-7 for Boston. Did they want it tonight? Apparently they did. Rask saves 25 out of 26, and Jari saves 28 out of 31. Excellent overall game if you're a Boston fan. If you're a Pittsburgh fan, you go, yeah, we get him next time. That being said, I need to change boards. Welcome back. All right, so, yeah, this is the board with all the goals on it. We'll start off with Detroit and Columbus. It's interesting how this works. So, goals. Lots of goals. Let's see, 6, 17, 27 goals. Nothing. A lot of notes. Now, the way that I used to do the review videos, I would only document goals. So this board, I used to try to sneak as many games onto one board as possible, and there weren't like tape lines, and so I'd be all happy if a game was like this. Now I'm like, okay, I've got a column for the game. I've got to fill it up with notes. So, early test for Grace. Bjorkstrand, did he score? No. It's challenged, and it's offside. Elvis then denied Vrana. Vrana had another good game. Roslovic nearly fools Grace. Roslovic was great at points in this game. Power play for Columbus. Roslovic dekes through everybody, and then Grace stops him. Late power play for Columbus, but it's scoreless after 1. So we go to the second period. Shots were 3-0 for the Wings at 3 minutes. Strong first half for Detroit. Columbus had 1 shot in the first 11 minutes. They would get opportunities later on. But through 2 periods, the storyline here really is the goaltenders. You have a combined 50 shots and no goals. So it's not that there weren't opportunities, it's that both goaltenders were dialed in tonight. Third period, Domi hits the outside of the net on a chance. Wings get an early power play. Shorthanded break then for Atkinson. Grace makes the save on that. Veleno wanted one in his debut. Just wasn't going to happen today. Grace stopped a chance for Robinson, I should say. Not Robertson. Robinson. We'll get to Robertson later. Columbus then out of 3-on-1, and Grace stopped Atkinson. So, again, Grace playing really well. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4. Jones stopped Grace saved a good chance from Jones, but we go to overtime. Wings controlled it early and often. The Wings played really well. They really wanted it. Vrana had a break. He was denied. Zdeno missed one high. And it's a double shutout. Both goalies get a shutout as we go to a shootout. And in the shootout, Columbus scores twice. Laine and Bjorkstrand score. And Columbus wins 1-0 in a shootout. So Detroit drops to 17-25-9. The Blue Jackets go to 16-25-10. So if you're really excited to see who's going to end up finishing 8th, this race is only 1 point apart, and you should just be so stoked about how this game turned out. 3 stars, Merzlikins, Grace, and Laine. So I would have thought Bjorkstrand, because he was, I thought, the better of the 2 goalies during the first 65 minutes, but yeah, Laine. Shots, 16-13 Columbus in the first, 14-7 Detroit in the second. Both teams had 9 shots in the third, and then in the overtime, 5-1 were the shots for Detroit. Final shots, 41-33 for Detroit. Detroit goes 0 for 1 on the power play. Columbus 0 for 2. Hits, 16-11 for Detroit. Block shots, 16-6 for Detroit. So again, we're in a situation where the hits and the shots favored the team. Same team, Detroit. They end up losing in the shootout, but another really good, hard-working game. It's that hard work, that work ethic from Detroit that I think keeps Blashill around after the season's done and bodes well for this team's future. Grace saves all 33 shots for his 14th career shutout. Merzlikins saves all 41 shots for his 7th career shutout. And both goalies go home happy. Fans, maybe not as much. But anyways, they do get the shootout win. So Columbus fans will be happy. Although it was scoreless to get there. All right, next up. Wow, when Tampa clinches, right? So we got a couple of teams clinching in the Central tonight. For the Chicago Blackhawks, the odds of them making the playoffs really take a hit tonight, even though the teams they're chasing also do not succeed. I think what we saw tonight is just how far above the other teams in the division the top 3 teams really are, between Tampa, Florida, and Carolina. I think tonight tells you the odds of one team that's 4th spot, whoever gets 4th spot, upsetting the number 1 team, it's there, because you never want to rule out a first-round upset. Remember, 2 years ago, Columbus, Tampa. Columbus is dead. But, yeah, I just can't see whoever finishes first ending up being upset in the first round. It's Vasilevsky versus Lankinen. Lankinen would not finish the game. Hawks wearing their thirds, those nice black throwback jerseys. Chernak scores at 28 seconds on the first shot. Welcome to the game, Kevin Lankinen. Gord then scored from Sergachev and Coleman at 4:15. Now, the Hawks get a power play. That was a no. They get another power play. That was a no. They had a lot of power plays tonight. Not quite Florida levels, but a lot of power plays. Hagel scores from Dock at 11:59. So it's not a power play marker, but the score is then 2-1. Bolts would try to answer. The Hawks end up with another power play, which they had a lot of. And then Barre Boulet would score his second. I'm pretty sure it's back-to-back games for him now, right? Palat and Point at 15:04. So Barre Boulet is the latest to come up and just fits right in and looks good offensively. He joins Colton as 2 guys who've come up and shown Tampa has an endless well of young players ready to come up and play. Last minute press by the Bolts after Kalanick scores at 17:59 to make it 4-2. And there were 3 saves in the last 10 seconds by Vasilevsky. So even though these scores look ugly, there was some good goaltending in both games. Second period, Point would score from Palat at 6:40. The Bolts then get a power play. They don't score on it, but not long after it's finished, Coleman scores from Johnson and Goudreau at 9 minutes and 21 seconds. The Bolts would then get another power play, and they score on that one. It's Killorn from Sergachev and Point at 13:39. The Hawks would get a power play after that, because that's how this game works. They don't score on that, but in the last minute of the period, Chicago does score to make it interesting, to make it 6-3. It's Keith from Kane and Hinostroza at 19:28. So Vinny Hinostroza's on the board again. 6-3 is your score for Tampa after 2. Third period, Kubalik had a break. Vasilevsky stopped it. Shots were 3 apiece at 7 minutes. Bolts get a power play. That was a no. The Hawks get a 4-minute power play. Solid penalty kill by the Bolts through the first 2 minutes. And then it's a delay of game call on, I believe it was Sergachev with the delay of game, and that makes it a 5-on-3 for a minute and a half. Well, with the offensive weapons Chicago put out there, don't give them a minute and a half of 5-on-3. They score on that. Kubalik from Kane and DeBrincat at 13:51. They would try to score another one during the 5-on-4. They weren't able to do that. And then the Bolts get a late power play. They just used that to basically kill 2 minutes on the clock. And then it's Killorn from Chernak at 19:09, and this is where Subban, who had replaced Lankinen after the first period, he was trying to exit the net, and yeah, he can't get back in time. And so it's not technically an empty netter, but it's an empty netter. 7-4 is your final. Tampa Bay clinches. They go to 33-14-2. Chicago drops to 22-22-5. I really can't see them making it. 3 stars, Point, Sergachev, and Kane. Shots, 18-11 Chicago in the first, 12-11 Tampa in the second, 11-7 Chicago in the third. Final shots were 40-30 for Chicago. Power plays, Tampa 1 for 4, Chicago 1 for 7. Hits, 30-26 for Tampa. Blocked shots, 18-9 for Tampa. Vasilevsky, 36 saves on 40 shots. Lankinen saves 8 out of 11, and Subban saves 15 out of 19. So, Tampa Bay wanting to stay in that run for first place. Problem is they didn't get any help in that chase for first place tonight. That's what they were counting on, and it just didn't happen. Florida. So the Panthers also clinch a playoff spot tonight. It is official. The Florida Panthers are back in the playoffs. We knew they were going to get there like months ago, but it's official. So you can go ahead and celebrate tonight if you want. And if you're in Florida, odds are you've probably been celebrating anyway. Every time I see any kind of videos out of Florida, it's just partying. So 32-14-5 is their record now, and here's 32-14-2 or 33-14-2 for Tampa. So close, and these teams will close out the season against each other. So how did Florida get to their 7-4 win? Well, the Predators press at 3 minutes, and they honestly played well while they weren't getting shots. Their second shot goes in the net. It's Ellis from Ekholm at 6:07. Panthers then get a power play, and they score on it. It's Barkov. Barkov, beast mode tonight. Yandel and Huberdeau with the assists at 8:28. And Huberdeau, great game for him. I still say most underrated player in the league right now. Shots were 10-2 for the Panthers with 9 minutes left. But the score is 1-1 because Saros is standing on his head. Throughout this game, Saros was standing on his head. Bobrovsky makes a save on a shot from Arvidsson, and that was during a late power play for the Predators. Arvidsson would not finish this game. Don't know his status yet. Look for that in the News of the Day video soon, maybe tomorrow. Second period, the early power play goes to the Predators, and they score on it. It's Duclair from Huberdeau and Bennett at 2:56. Sam Bennett in Florida is an absolutely perfect fit. It is night and day looking at how he was in Calgary and how he is in Florida. And I don't know whether this is just, well, he's doing well in Florida and it's great, or if it's something's really wrong in Calgary. And I'm not sure which of the two it is, but Bennett in Florida has been fantastic. Panthers go back to the power play. They don't score on that one because they can't score on them all. And then it's Cunnin scoring from Yarncroke and Granlund at 6:50. This felt a lot like last night's game, where the Panthers had the shots and then Nashville was getting the goals. Predators then get a power play. They don't score on it. But then it's Jeannot, who scores from Yossi and Sissons at 12:40. I believe that's the point where Yossi becomes the highest scoring defenseman in Nashville history. I believe he passes Shea Weber for that. And then Barkov would tie this up from Tippett and Uyghur at 17:32. But the tie doesn't last because Ellis scores from Duchesne at 1937, I should say, and then the Preds tried for another before the period was out. So it's 4-3 Nashville after 2. What do you do? So you've got Bobrovsky, who's making $10 million a year, and he's, at least that's the cap hit, right? And he's the guy. Or you've got this kid that's, not got a lot of experience. So of course you go to the kid. Third period, and it worked. It absolutely worked. And I'm not saying like Nashville had a ton of chances and he stole the game, but it worked. Shots were 3-1 for the Panthers at 3 minutes. They hit a post while they were pressuring, and then it goes in. It's Tippett from Huberdeau and Bennett at 4:57. There's no way Saros can save all those. It was just Florida crashes the net, and Nashville, I don't know how to clear him, was basically the response. And understandable because Bennett, again, what a game. Predators were giving up way too many shots. Vetrano would score from Wenberg at 7:15. That was shot number 50 at 7:15. You just can't. You can't allow 50 shots in 47 minutes and 15 seconds. 47 minutes, 15 seconds. Predators tried to answer, and of course the Panthers end up with a power play out of that. Knight was sharp in relief, although he wasn't busy. The shots were 10-3 for the Panthers with 9 minutes left. The Panthers would get another power play, and they score on that one. Huberdeau from Barkov and Bennett at 13:48. Bennett. 3 assists for him tonight for Sam Bennett. Not too shabby. He has more points in Florida already than he had all season in Calgary, doesn't he? It's remarkable. It is. I have talked up Bennett for a year and a half, and there were Flames fans who were saying, I don't see what you see in Bennett. I'm not sure why you talk him up. And I was kind of getting to where I was like, well, I guess he's not going to realize that potential. But man, this is playoff Bennett. And Florida should be thanking Calgary every time he scores. Goalie pull with 3 minutes left. With 1 minute and 56 seconds left, they call a timeout. All that comes out of that is at 18:23, Huberdeau hits the empty net. So, that's the game. 7-4 Florida. Like I said, 32-14-5. Nashville 27-22-2. This only counts as one game though, and they didn't get hurt by seeing Chicago win or seeing Dallas win. So it could have been worse. 3 stars in this one: Huberdeau, Barkov, and Bennett. The easiest 3 stars you're going to get in a game with this kind of score. Those 3 guys are just fantastic. Shots 21-8 in favor of Florida in the first, 21-13 Florida in the second. Poor Saros. 14-9 Florida in the third. Final shots 56-30 in favor of the Florida Panthers. Florida 3 for 5 on the power play. Nashville 0 for 2. Hits 17-14 for Nashville. Block shots 13-4 for Nashville. Well, at least they tried blocking a couple of them. Bobrovsky saves 17 out of 21. And then Knight goes in, saves all 9 shots, and he gets the win in relief. Saros saves 49 out of 55. So he allows 6 goals, and still his save percentage is almost 900 because he played quite well. Just remarkable. Absolutely remarkable game. All right, last of the night, Dallas and Carolina. Now, I knew I knew after Dallas won in overtime, I thought we're going to pay for that. So they did. Linesman gets hurt 2 minutes into this game, which is reason for a stoppage, and hopefully he's okay. Both goalies got tested on their first shots. McCormick had a chance that was stopped. The Canes would get a power play, and they would score on it. Jordan Staal continues to have the best season of maybe his career. Maybe. Aho and Svechnikov with the assists at 7:08. The Stars would try to answer, but they don't do it well enough because a minute later, Aho scores from Svechnikov and Pesce at 8:09. Aho then decides, you know what? I'm going to try for another. And he did try for another, and it didn't happen at that point. But he'd be one of the 3 Stars because Carolina was quite good tonight. Stars press at 9 minutes. Then there were too many Canes on the ice, so the Stars go to the power play. Canes then get a power play. That was a no. They get another power play late. It bleeds over into the second period. Second period, they score on that power play from Staal. Staal gets the goal from Aho and Svechnikov again. It worked so well, do it again. 1 minute and 13 seconds. So Svechnikov, 3 assists tonight. Not too shabby. For a guy who's known for his highlight reel goals, Svechnikov's a pretty good passer. Power play then for the Stars. That was a no, but they would get on the board, and it's a nice goal by Robertson from Hintz at 7:45, so cue up the Calder talk again. But I think Dallas right now would prefer to have the wins over the Calder talk, and I think Robertson probably would too. So Cogliano then missed one wide. Svechnikov got a prime chance, which wouldn't go. Nedeljkovic was sharp in the second half of that period as Dallas tried to fight back into this. Stars press with 3 minutes left. Ben almost got one late, wouldn't go. And so we go to the third period with it 3-1 in favor of Carolina. And I know this game is done. Third period, Canes pressed at 2 minutes. The shots were 3-1 in their favor 5 minutes in, and they would score at 5:18. McCormick with his second in 2 straight games, right? He scored in 2 straight games. These are his first 2 of the year, I believe. Geeky and Lawrence with the assists. Stars then get a power play. That was a no. And before the game is out, Niederreiter would get on the board, so he keeps his hot streak going. Staal and Foegele with the assists at 12:14. So Staal with 2 goals and an assist tonight, not too shabby. Carolina wins 5-1. Very authoritative victory. They go to 32-10-7. For Dallas, they drop to 21-16-12, and this is where it gets tough for Dallas. I understand they've got games in hand. Their last 7 games in a row are on the road. 3 of them are in Tampa. Tampa is fighting for first place. I really think the odds are against Dallas right now, even though they have those 2 games in hand on Nashville. Because being on the road for 7 straight to end out the season, that's tough. Staal, Aho, and Svechnikov are your 3 Stars. Dallas is now done with Carolina. They also don't get Columbus or Detroit from here. And those, of course, are the lowest rated teams in the division. So I think that means they've got a tough schedule. They've got a couple against Chicago, but we'll see how that goes too, because the record against Chicago has been kind of up and down this year. Shots were 15-7 Carolina in the first, 13-7 Dallas in the second. Both teams had 8 shots in the third. Final shots, 30-28 for Carolina. Carolina goes 2 for 3 on the power play. Dallas 0 for 3. Hits 25-19 for Carolina. Block shots 17-13 for Dallas. Nedeljkovic saves 27 out of 28 in Hudobin. 24 saves on 29 shots. It's an ugly save percentage for Hudobin, but they were pretty snipey goals for the Carolina Hurricanes. So there you go. The 3 best teams in the Central, they're all pretty good. And we'll see in the playoffs which one of them ends up out in the first round and how that turns out for them. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts regarding tonight's games in the comment section below, as always. Today's video is shorter than the other one because all the games were on at the same time. Tomorrow we have 7 games on. They're not on at the same time. The video will end up being longer. But hey, let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And hey, thanks for all your support. It means a lot. I will talk to you again soon.